Hey friends, welcome back. Have you ever wondered why your healing journey feels like it's taking forever or why you're still getting triggered by the same old stuff? Yeah, I hear ya. Today, I want to walk you through what the healing journey actually looks like and why it doesn't always feel like progress, even when you're growing. This is going to be a more nitty-gritty mechanical view of things, but I think it actually could be helpful. I'll be showing you two different visuals I've created that represent the journey, and they might just shift the way you see your own healing process. So let's get started. The first one we're going to look at is the uphill trajectory. You've probably seen charts like this before. It kind of looks like the S&P 500 or any other successful stock. It goes up and it goes down, but over time the trend moves upward. Now imagine the x-axis is your timeline and the y-axis is your authentic self, the version of the person you're becoming. And the squiggly blue line is your soul's evolution and your path to enlightenment. Even though there are dips, crashes, and big leaps, you're still moving up. And within this journey, there are four key phrases I want to highlight. So let's start out with the first phase, stasis. In the graph, it is represented by the blue line right here and right here. This is where most people begin. You're feeling stuck, life feels stagnant, or maybe you're feeling overwhelmed or are still suffering from a trauma and have reached a point where you're ready to finally let go. This is the point where you decide that you need to change the situation and do something about it. The second phase is the feeder phase, and it is represented here in orange. Feeders are sessions that initiate movement towards shift. They gradually break down the issue at hand, loosening its grip so it no longer holds as much power over you. During the feeder stage, it's common to feel uncomfortable, unsettled, or off center. This happens because you've started shifting the energy around the issue, and you're no longer operating from the same fixed or static state. Number three, and the most exciting phase is the big breakthrough, and it is represented in hot pink at the very top. This is when a significant shift or a major release of energy takes place. You feel lighter, more expanded, and experience a breakthrough. This is where the issue no longer feels problematic or holds power over you. And then the fourth phase, adaptation. And this is the green section here. Now that you have had your breakthrough, you are beginning to adjust to a new worldview. Your energy is settling into a new configuration, and your external world starts to reflect your internal landscape. You might notice that the adaptation phase dips a little. That's because the high of the big break usually dissipates, and then you find yourself coming back to real life once more, but a brighter version of it. As you can see in this chart, you are constantly moving through all the four stages. But here's the truth. You never are in the same place you were before. You're further up the mountain and closer to your authentic truth. Okay, there are two main points that I want to make about the uphill trajectory. Point one, from the moment you decide to make a change, you're starting to integrate that idea of the new you within you. Integration is an ongoing, subtle process of absorbing and embodying the change that comes from healing work. It's the undercurrent that fuels your continuous transformation. It can also be useful as an internal regulation tool. It will let you know how well you're processing the work, when to schedule your next session, when to pause, or when to step back from the process altogether. Sometimes a practitioner might say, "You're doing too much energy work." And that's a signal that your system may be overwhelmed, that it hasn't had enough time to absorb and integrate what's already been done. It's important to regularly check in with yourself and honestly assess how well you're doing in processing the work. Point two, in the example I shared, the feeder phase was represented by multiple sessions. But healing doesn't always follow a set pattern. You can go from stasis directly into a breakthrough in one energy healing session. Now let's look at our second visual, the spiral. The inside of the spiral represents our enlightenment, our authentic self, with the outer edge reflecting how far we are from living that truth. Unfortunately, there's no direct path in the center. Healing tends to be circular. We may revisit the same trauma multiple times. However, with each pass, we chip away at the problem at hand. And when we return to that sector in the spiral again, the emotional charge of that trigger lessens. And eventually the energy around those experiences no longer affects you. That doesn't mean that you forget the memories or wounds. It just simply means that there is no longer an energetic charge around them when you think about them. As you can see, the outer edge of the spiral is a longer path. But the more inner work you do, the smaller the spiral becomes. And the closer you move towards the middle, the less triggered you are, you begin to feel lighter, and you begin to radiate more peace and clarity. So to wrap this all up, healing isn't linear. It's messy, it's sacred, and it's a lifelong process. You'll get triggered again, sometimes by the same thing or by a completely new angle. But each time you return to the work, you're moving closer to your truth. And here's another thing I want to leave you with. These stages I've shown, they're not only reserved for energy healing sessions. They can show up during journaling, talking with a friend, meditating, going to therapy, or simply sitting with yourself. For example, the feeder phase could be a deep conversation you're having with your best friend, and the breakthrough could be in the middle of the walk. Every step counts, and every time you show up for yourself, you're healing. If this has shifted your perspective on your own healing journey, let me know in the comments. And if you want to learn more about energy healing, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Remember to tune in, listen deeply, shift completely, and bloom. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.